Hi, and welcome to Star Lighthouse. I'm Prashant, and this is weekly reading for Sun, Moon, Venus rising in Cancer. This is a general read, so take whatever message resonates with you and leave everything else behind. And if the reading does connect with you, there is an extended to it. The link for that extension is below in the description box. I hope you like the reading, and if you do, please do like, subscribe, and share. That would be very helpful. So, Cancer, how are you doing? So close to Thanksgiving, how are you feeling? Hope you are able to connect with your family, friends. I know it's hard in 2020 to find ways to connect with people, but if you cannot celebrate Thanksgiving with them, maybe find virtual ways to celebrate. Hope you can find whatever means you can to celebrate this festival, especially this year. Find ways to be grateful about something. It has been a hard year for many people, so in such a tough year, if everyone can find some graciousness in them, that will allow to ease the energy of the negativity of this year. Anyway, let's focus on the thought and the feeling that brought you to this reading. The question, the anxiety that's probably giving you some worry. Take a deep breath, and with the breath, let everything else go. Just focus on that thought, that idea. This reading may have an answer for you. Let's see what's going on with you. Six of Wands. Coming out of a conflict or finding opportunities to increase your social recognition, being blocked by Five of Swords. So pointing towards a previous deception. So seemingly once that deception clears up, you would come out of that conflict. Past situations, Moon, mystery, fear, or maybe you started understanding the reasons behind previous deception. So Five of Swords clearly points towards somebody taking advantage of you, your emotions, your attachment to them, your trust. It probably got taken advantage of. And Moon points towards mystery, fear. So you're understanding the reasons and the emotions behind why that happened, or how you could not perceive it, stop it before it could happen. Mind's ambition, Ace of Wands, trying to find a new opportunity to expand further. Heart's desire, Two of Wands, growing past that conflict. Or maybe it also could be that you were procrastinating the difficult conversation about that conflict. That could also represent that your mind and heart now wants to connect, to allow you to go past it. But for you to be able to go past it, you have to go through this difficult conversation. You seemingly procrastinating that conversation so that you can find an alternate opportunity first. Once you do, that's where you want to have this conflict. So it could also be you're in a job situation right now, you might not be completely happy, or in a work opportunity, you might not be completely happy with your peer, your partner, your boss, however that relationship looks like. And now you're letting go of that relationship. But before you do, you want to have an alternate opportunity ready in your hand, like a security before you have this difficult conversation with your current boss, your peer, your partner, however that relationship looks like at work. The interesting juxtaposition of the situation now you are in is that because you are not able to complete this conflict, it's causing an emotional and psychological block, preventing you to find this new job or security or like whatever that creative opportunity looks like to grow further. It's blocking your movement forward. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition that you want the security of a new job before you have this conflicting conversation. It could very well be that you might not be comfortable having confrontation with someone else, and that by itself blocks you from having a confronting argument with someone else. So that's why you want to have a security before, so that it gives you some sort of confidence to do this conversation. But not being able to do this conversation by itself is creating a psychological and an emotional block, preventing you to be 100% like efficient when you do those job interviews or when you seek out those opportunities outside. So it's a very tough situation you are in. Like, it's a very tricky, sticky spot you are in right now. Let's see what's going on forward. Future situations, High Priestess. You would go more inwards, trying to find a more understanding between mind and heart. So it's like Moon is understanding the mystery, the secrets of why that previous deception, that conflict was going on, the reasons behind it. Connecting it with your becoming a High Priestess would be, so this is representing your emotions. Moving it to High Priestess stage would be understanding those emotional at a psychological level, how they impacted you and how they made you behave in that previous situation where you're still avoiding conflict, but the reasons for that conflict, understanding what you actually want to say when you have that conversation, and completely processing, getting to that space where you psychologically understand the reasons behind that conflict, where you psychologically evaluate what your mistakes might have been and what other person's mistakes might have been, and also understand that you should not be individually blaming just them, because both of you would have created actions which culminated to that conflict, that now that conflict needs to end. Ending of that conflict requires a confronting conversation or like challenging difficult conversation. That difficult conversation is stopping you from moving forward into a different, or finding even with full confidence that different job opportunity. Let's see what's your suggested advice for you. Two of Coins, pointing towards juggling different mindsets, juggling different perceptions, juggling different things. So again, juggling different, like juggling that previous job opportunity, current job situation, and trying to find a new job opportunity. Context for this advice or action, 9 of Coins. Hopes and fears, 10 of Chalices, and potential outcome, Hierophant. So these cards seemingly are going in the right direction. Suggested advice is pointing towards, like, either you find the right balance in per se, that when you, if you're still avoiding that conversation in your current job situation because of security reasons, or you don't like confronting arguments, or you're just not good at handling faltering emotions. So if you feel there's a very demanding need in your mind to look at that job, to look and find that new job opportunity without completing your current task of confronting this conversation, then there is a very heavy need that you stay within that moment. During that time when you are interviewing, you should not, or when you're presenting yourself, or you're selling yourself, whatever it might look like, there should not be this belief or fear about your financial stability. There should be this no lack of understanding about who you are, lack of self trust or lack of self deserving, like a thought, not even a thought about it. Something that can get created by conflicts. Like conflicts can, in a way, also dent our own ego. Conflict can make us feel that guilt inside us, making us question what did we personally do wrong to make that situation that worse, that a confronting or a conflicting argument is required. And if you are not good at confrontation, then there's definitely unconscious or a conscious nature inside you to harbor guilt, harbor your own guilt. And that's why you avoid or you don't like confrontations, because you don't like resolving that guilty emotion. So moving forward, you have to believe, if you're going into this conversation, into those job interviews, into those new job opportunities, into a new work situation, trying to approach it, trying to make it successful, trying to convert it for you, you cannot fear the success of it. I understand it's easier said than done, especially when you have something really bad going on one end and you're really hoping to run away from it on the other side. Your mind can really look at every single opportunity as, like, this has to be converted. Like, this is it for us. If this doesn't happen, this is the end for us. The reason your mind thinks for like that is because the conflicting situation creates an ego dent. That ego dent creates a psychological block that kind of makes us not focus on our innovativeness. And what I mean by that is, during interviews or during attracting new opportunities towards you, following your instincts, being true to them, that completely aligns and attracts those situations towards you. By itself, the right people would get attracted. You don't even have to, it's like the less you try to impress, the more true you are, the better it is for you. Being in a fearful situation, you reverse that thing. Your mind kind of does the opposite and tries to over impress someone or the other party for a situation where that much of effort might not even be required. Or it could also create anxious blocks where you would not be able to perform in those interviews. So you can oscillate between those two extremes, overperforming in interviews or completely underperforming. Both of them created by you trying to run away from this confronting situation. So if you directly target trying to get job opportunities without resolving the current situation, you can do that, but the suggestion for that would be then in that moment, when you are in those moments where you're trying to convert these new situations, opportunities for you, you're very centered, you're very grounded, you're very focused, you're not thinking about anything else. You're very in the moment. Your answers rely on your intuitions, you're not overthinking about conversion of that situation into a success. Having said that, finding a hierophant situation where your mind and heart is balanced is more recommended as an outcome. Getting there requires you to balance your emotions. Ten of Chalice says, stable emotional waters, balance, in fact, get into an emotional contentment. That might seem like a far-fetched situation if you are currently in this moment where you are even fearing a confronting argument or closing a conflict once for an all. Getting there, you might have to resolve the psychological block that this situation might have had created. Running away from a difficult conversation, hiding from its emotions, would be basically putting everything into a ditch and just hoping it just goes away. It's not like it would just go away randomly. if you unearth that ditch, or it's like pushing those emotions under the rug. If you just remove that rug, this everything is still there. It's the same thing. You're just hiding those emotions in the basement of your mind, and rather hiding those emotions, just face them. Just face that confronting conversation. And the funny part would be that once you start facing those conversations, when you start discussing the pain points of the deceptions of the past, it would automatically liberate you. It would automatically instigate this confidence inside you that would make you do better in those the opportunities you're seeking. It's very similar to standing up to a bully, and the feeling of it, the rush of it, when you stand up to a bully, when you realize that someone else broke your trust, when you realize that someone else deceived you at your lowest point, when you realize someone else might have taken away your financial stability for their own narcissistic or personal reasons. They might have even made you juggle opportunities, they might have even made you do their work, and you not being comfortable at having confronting conversation is actually creating guilt inside you for not being able to stand up for yourself. So having this conversation, resolving that conflict by completing this conversation, standing up to the bully, even if that might look like you giving up on your current financial security. What I mean is, like, it could possibly that the bully is someone higher up to you in your job hierarchy, and it could impact your job security. Rather than worrying about that situation, it's a very important time to release that situation. It's blocking your movement forward. And once actually you stand up, that's where Six of Wands is. You will get social recognition for it, for being able to handle something for being able to deal with a bully and being able to stand up against it. And that's where I was saying that once you start being in your authentic self, it automatically attracts people. The same thing, when you stand up for yourself, it automatically attracts other people who are trying to fight their own bullies or bullies in their system. So to attract those people then. Being a hierophant is also someone who is like a very good balance, like it's a very balanced leader. Someone who can stand up to these deceptive people, bullies. In fact, not even stand up to them. It's like they can go seek out and remove those people from the system. You can't get to that space. Everything seems that you can. There is a ability inside you to get to that space. But for now, stand up to your own bully. Fight your own bully. Understand the reasons why and how they are hurting you. Understand your own characteristics that's enabling them to be able to bully you. So there is something inside you, a fearful thought that they are able to monetize, or they are able to capitalize, or they are able to basically, it's your soft belly where they're able to hit you and like your emotions get hurt. It's your trigger spot. Understand that trigger spot, understand that characteristic. Once you understand that characteristic, you would realize and fully identify all their games. The mind would start working with your heart. Instead of fearing their games, you would start understanding how they're actually trapping you inside it. That's what you need to find. First you understand their entrapment, then you understand their deception. Once you understand their deception, you can have that conversation. Having that conversation, all this might look like a lot of effort, but what you need to just go back and do is go back and track last few conversations with them, with that specific person. Even like if you haven't had conversations because of fear of argument or anything, just go back and look at the interactions, interfacing with them. How did your emotions look like? Those will give you the ideas as to how they are keeping you entrapped in their deceptive games. Once you find that entrapment, then you just need to have that conversation. If now this way, the great part is, if you don't want to have that conversation, you just, once you find the entrapment, you don't need to get entrapped by them anymore. Then you just take off your blindfolds and you just don't need to play the games. If that somehow doesn't seem to be an option, if, like, hypothetically, if they're your manager, if they're boss, if you're your supervisor or something, then in that scenario you would have to have that conversation with them. But in order to have a conversation with someone higher up in the hierarchy, you would have to have solid good points about it. And in order to do that, you have to understand how they are setting up those deceptive games. So Cancer, the reading is very clear that there is deceptive games going around you. You try, instead of confronting them and having that conflicting argument, because of your, I would say, like, good nature spirit even, or like running away. I don't want to call it like it's a cowardness, but it's just like you don't want to deal with the emotions and the baggage of it. Either way, you don't want to have that confronting argument and you want a new opportunity, new situation. But you're not being able to be 100% effective in those situations, in those opportunities, in trying to present yourself, trying to sell yourself. And that seemingly is being blocked by a psychological block of not being able to complete this conversation. And that block has, in fact, of being in those deceptive games, it has in fact lowered down your confidence, dented your ego, further creating problems in you being able to have these interviews or convert these new opportunities. Now, if without processing these emotions you want to go ahead and do that, you can try to, but then the suggestion is that try to stay grounded in those moments. When you have those interviews, don't let these emotions of the past or the thoughts about these past, fears about these past, or this financial security affect you. Don't let that affect you in those moments. Allow your mind and heart to stay present. Focus and stay intuitive. The other suggestion is, and the main suggestion is, process this conflict. Confront. Even if it affects your job security, it would provide you strength, it would provide you wisdom, it would change and move you into this Hierophant energy, into this Hierophant space. Someone who is like a spiritual leader, like someone who's connected to mind and heart, who can stand up against bullies, not for just themselves, for everyone around. It might initially impact your financial space, but it would provide, like, that's guaranteed again back in the future, because you standing up for yourself would provide you emotional confidence, psychological boost, showcase more of your abilities, attract more people towards you. So it would bring you stability in the future if that's your worry. The other thing is, it would bring you more emotional contentment and happiness that you finally stood up for yourself. The guilt that you cannot stand up for yourself against a bully would go away. So understand, allow your mind and heart to connect, understand the fears that they are targeting, understand how, like, the conversations, what they say, how they're trapping you, understand their games, understand the deceptions, identify that, then have a conversation. Once you do all this, your social recognition, in terms of like how your peers or people like who previously downplayed you because you could not stand up against this bully, everyone would get attracted towards you, and more opportunities, more money, everything will come in. Cancer, I hope this reading connected with you, and if it did, I have an extended for it. In the extended, I would further look at how do you balance your emotions, how to further look into the games of this bully, wisdom from the oracle as to how to deal with the situation, how to deal with the conflict, and then timing related to when you can resolve the conflict and the new opportunities coming towards you. All of that I would look in the extended. If you would like to join me in the extended, the link for that is below in the description box. Cancer, I hope you liked the reading, and if you did, please do like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for joining me in the reading, and have an amazing week. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.